Hey, if you're a parent of a neurodivergent child, I want to speak to you. And my hopes is to basically give you something practical that you can actually start working on right now as we speak. It's something that can begin to create change, not only just for your child, but as well as for yourself. So my name is Nate. I'm ADHD. I'm dyslexic. I have a speech impediment. I'm ADD and probably a few other things I'm not even aware of yet. I've lived this for quite some time, and not just personally, but I've also spent a lot of time trying to understand why I'm wired the way I am and what's really going on, I guess, underneath of it all. And I believe that part really, really matters. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not here to force you to believe in something that you just don't believe in. I'm simply sharing what has worked for me and what I've seen work for many other people. What I see a lot of these what I've seen in a lot of these groups are parents that are carrying guilt and shame and feeling like they're failing because they can't fix their child. And when I first started learning this, it didn't click for me right away. So giving yourself grace is very, very important in this process. This isn't something you hear once and then suddenly all of a sudden, like everything changes. It takes a little time, takes a little sitting with and meditating on. Here's the core of what I wanted to explain. So kids are incredibly sensitive to the emotional state of their parents or their caregivers. Their nervous systems are constantly picking up on cues from us, especially like stress and frustration and shame and tone. And it's not because anyone has brokenness or anything. It's just it's how a connection basically works. So I noticed to be true from my own life, especially when I would get extremely frustrated while helping my kids with homework. They didn't really need me to say anything. They actually felt it. Their body started to react. And they actually became more tense and frustrated, or whatever it was that was happening in me basically showed up in them. Kids learn by honestly watching us, right? They copy what we do, they absorb what we believe. We all know this. We say things in our homes, and then kids repeat them out into the world, and we act like all shocked. But the truth of it is they're just reflecting what they've been surrounded by this entire time. So if I'm carrying shame about my child, so they don't consciously think about that, they absorb it. It's just like many of us did growing up. And because they don't yet have language for it, so they start believing it as truth about themselves. So this is where things really started to shift for me. As I started reading the Bible, and I'll be honest, I had never read the Bible before in my entire life, but it began to change the way I thought. It says that our words have a lot of power, and that matters more than I ever even realized. Kids don't just take in what you say, they take in how you say it. So if you're harsh and rejecting, well, they often turn the same harshness inward. But if you're loving and kind, well, they learn to be loving and kind to themselves. So that's why it says to let everything you say be good and helpful, because your words are either going to build them up or they're going to tear them down. And the same truth is held for yourself. So what really helped me was when I stopped carrying shame and frustration towards my kids. I came into a disagreement with it and realized that my job as a parent wasn't to fix them, but my job was to change what I was saying about myself, about my kids, and about what was actually possible. So instead of speaking negatively that I didn't even realize I was actually speaking, I started choosing to speak life, right? The Bible says to choose life so that you and your descendants may live. So your words matter, your choices matter. I didn't fully grasp this at first. I had to sit with it. I had to meditate on it. I even had to ask God to help me understand that whole deal, right? Because the truth of it all is that your child learns who they are in part through the emotional environment you create. So what you believe about yourself shapes what they actually learn about themselves. Hopefully that made sense. So, but the real change didn't start with my kids. It started with me. I had to work on myself first. I had to speak life over myself, and then I had to speak life over them. And when you break the shame and start speaking blessings, something starts to shift. And over time, you will begin to see your child respond differently. And not because you forced a change, but because safety changed. And that's obviously our jobs as parents. Hey, I hope this actually helped you. I know it seems so simplistic, and I know that sometimes we get caught up in things and we don't even realize it. Hey, I'm a human as well, so I do it myself. But hopefully it helped you. Hopefully you take it and put it into practice. I love you, and we'll catch you on the next one.